So when I got over to Hawthorne Drum Shop the other day, I noticed he had a brand new Rogers PowerTone kit. So we're going to start with that. This is the new kit. This is the Rogers reissued PowerTone series with the sparkle lacquer two-tone sparkle lacquer finish. Let's take a look at it.
It's a very old kit.
Born what year?
A couple months ago. So we're actually doing a new kit today. This is the new Rogers PowerTone outfit. I call it, I don't really know what they call it. I call it like two-tone. This is a lacquer finish, gold and silver, all around. There's a matching snare drum back here. We'll look at that in a bit. But cool sizes, 12 by 20 bass drum, 8 by 12, 14 by 14 floor tom. So Rogers, if you don't know, have kind of gone through a re-emergence, if you will. I think the first kit they put out was called the Covington series. Remember seeing that?
I reviewed that. I did the Red Ripple.
Yeah.
It was
So
like
that
kit. It was nice.
Yeah, they're really nice. They're kind of like on the more the top of like the price spectrum. So these came out and they're, in my opinion, priced really well. So this 3-piece kit is, I think, $23.65. So if you're looking at new drums, it's pretty affordable for like what I consider to be a high-end kit.
Mm-hmm. So what are the features here that are similar to the old stuff, and what is different?
So if you're not familiar with Rogers, or the newer Rogers, I should say, some of this stuff probably looks similar to you. Beaver tail lugs look the same as the old ones, same on the bass drum. They redid the claws, and they look really similar to the Cleveland era claws. They obviously don't have like the handles, the T-handles. Modern spurs, but they kind of outfitted them with some fancy little wing nuts here that look nice. Some of the stuff is similar to the older stuff, but not quite the same. They have a Swivomatic style mount on here. Swivomatic was what they called the mount styles in the 60s. Mm-hmm. So in my opinion, that was kind of like the best old hardware. I think Mitch Mitchell might have used Rogers hardware. Bonham did.
Bonham, right?
Ringo. So a lot of those guys would rely on, the older Swivomatic stuff. So
I'm looking for an old example. You got one around here?
Yeah, right here. So this is actually an old butcher block tom. I think it's the same size, 8 by 12. But you see the 4 kind of holes. I think that they might be similar or the same. I actually don't know that. It's a good question, is like whether this mount would fit on one of these drums. Mm. But this is an old collet. I think we might have talked about these in an episode. These aren't great because they were cast at some point and they would crack and kind of a pain. But what they did with the new ones is no collet. So got a wing nut here, really sturdy, really reliable.
Oh, I dig that. It looks like it's the same sort of design as this.
Yeah.
On the tom.
And they used a hex mount. So that was like a Rogers staple, was the hex mount.
Do you like that, or does it drive you nuts?
I like it. I think it's more sturdy than like
just
like a circle.
Right.
Like a lot of the Ludwig stuff, they would like kind of knurl, the arm, but after gigs and stuff, it's hard to mess this up, I guess.
Yeah, locks in pretty good.
I can be fairly rough on some of my personal stuff. So this is nice. And then you can't see it, but there's some script in there. So I think they did a good job with like kind of making it a mix of modern and classic.
I'm noticing some with the floor toms, because on the old stuff, these brackets drive me nuts.
Yeah, let me grab this real quick. Should have got this out earlier. Here's an old floor tom, and it's got, so you can see that they don't have like the backing, the four hole backing there.
Yeah. And they also replaced the screws.
Yeah, so they had like set screws here, and now you have a wing nut, and then you have a micro adjuster, which is nice because you don't need a key.
Yeah.
You can kind of use this to like loosen up all the way and then tighten down with this, and it looks kind of classic too.
Yep.
So I think that they did a nice job.
I dig that.
Lugs look the same. They use gaskets. Obviously, they didn't use gaskets back in the olden days, but the hardware's pretty cool. I like it. They did use the same lugs. They got the same badges, the script badges with the screws back there.
What is up with gaskets? Is that simply to make the tension rods not splay? Like that's now a thing everyone cares about?
I think I've never asked somebody who makes drums, and I don't make drums. But I would guess so. I don't know why they just don't either make the shells like slightly larger or smaller, or the hoops holes different. Because I know a lot of people, you know, they'll get especially like a metal snare, and they have the gaskets. They take the gaskets off, and they're like, oh, it sounds so different. I've never tried it, and I'm not disqualifying what those people say, but
I might have to do that in a future episode. I mean, why not? You'd probably have to put a mic on the freaking lug in order to really hear.
I don't know, man. I mean, like, you think about it, like that's plastic on a shell as like opposed to metal on metal. I've also had people tell me that, you know, the lug won't leave an impression on the shell. I don't know why that matters, but
yeah, why would that matter?
I don't know. I wish
people overthink it.
You know, now that we're on the subject, I wish gaskets didn't exist. But if you're a drum builder and would like to write in and talk to Mike about why gaskets are used, that could be another nerdy conversation. This is the snare, same finish. This clock face throw-up has been around a long time. I don't know the actual model name, but it does fit the same hole spacing as like a classic Rogers throw-off. So if you need a new one and you don't want to buy like an old one, you can get these from hopefully your local store. There's the badge. I am not really a fan of this. I don't know if it's a script, but I just think, you know, putting just the regular script badge would have been fine on there. But I think this is 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's an 8 lug classic butt plate.
Is that 7-inch deep?
6.5.
Is it? This looks deeper.
Yeah. And they did, I know it's hard for you guys to see, but they did include like the tags on the inside like they do back in the old days. Rogers PowerTone. They did include, sorry.
Buzz.
There's no serial number, which kind of is a bummer. But fruitwood interiors. These are 5-ply maple poplar shells with reinforcement rings. That's, for me, I think when I'm looking at new drums and pricing, you know, if you can get a kit that has reinforcement rings on it for that price, it's really good. I mean, a new Ludwig Legacy kit is going to cost you how much?
More than that.
You know, 3-ply with the rings.
Yeah.
So those rings really help with warmth and all that. So,
we got to talk about that weird
yeah,
guy over there.
This is the Thundertone. So this is the Rogers Thundertone. It's I think this is a 10x14, and it's a snom, what the cool kids call it. So it's a snare tom you can throw off.
I mean, it's essentially a field drum with legs on it.
Yeah, and they kind of used a stay tight. So in the early '60s, some Rogers drums had a stay tight leg bracket, and that's what they used for this kind of style grommet hole. It's got the tone control on here. I don't think these have tone controls, but I'm really glad Rogers is around. I'm glad to be carrying them, and I think that they're doing a good job with. To be honest, I don't think anybody wants to see the exact same thing as we had in the '60s. I think it's nice to make things
because they still exist. I
mean,
you've got them here for sale.
So they made some changes, like these spurs. They don't look too big or too bulky, and they're actually functional. You can fold them out and gig and not have to worry about sliding across the stage.
I hate those old ones with a passion.
Yeah, there's not as much like management. When you get up on a stage, you want to be able to set everything up, know that it's reliable, and not have to worry about anything falling over. So I think they did a good job with all that stuff. I love that this is a 12 deep. 12 deep bass drums are my favorite, and I think the price point's right where it should be.
I'm a weirdo. I would like T-rods here, because that's where I
What do you mean?
T-handles.
Oh, okay.
I would want 4 T-handles, because that's, if I have to change anything, it's these 4 tension rods.
Really?
On the gig. Yep.
How come?
Because they're right there, and you can go from like super dead to boomy.
Huh. That's an interesting point.
But it would look weird. I mean, if OCD would.
Somebody made the suggestion of, because this came in like all kind of in pieces. So like put the hoops on. This would look cool with the hoops, like the silver on the front and the.
That would be cool.
Yeah. So maybe I'll try that and see what it looks like.
It's a very cool kit. I have to say, I am more of a fan of the PowerTone versus the Dynasonic. I think that's a more versatile, easy to use drum than the Dynasonic, from my experience.
There's no instruction manual with this, Mike.
Right. You don't have to tune the wires.
Ready? Off. On. Tighter. Looser. I'm making a lot of people upset right now. I know that.
Hey, I have both, and I go to the PowerTone way more often just because I know it's going to be easy to work with. That's
Yep.
just my opinion, but I love this kit. I'll have to play it a little bit later. So that's it. This is the brand new Rogers PowerTone. What do they call in this outfit, or is it just
PowerTone, yeah. These are limited. I don't know how many they made, but I know that they're limited. So if it's something you like, jump on it now.
dope? Sweet. That's it.